Hey everybody, and good morning. This is Chris Addig on the Veterans Law Blog. I decided we're going to do another pop-up video here this morning. So what's a pop-up video? Throughout the day I get a few minutes here or there to take a break from writing, reading, or talking to somebody on the phone, and I figure I'm going to take advantage of some of those opportunities to sit down and talk to y'all on the Veterans Law Blog just for usually about 5 or 10 minutes. I'll keep talking until some questions pop up, see if I can answer these questions, and we'll just play it like that. In any event, listen, last night was a pretty interesting night. I'm not sure how much of an impact it's going to have on veterans. I think that the leadership of the House Veteran Affairs Committee is going to change, obviously. The ranking Democrat is Tim Walz out of Minnesota, I think he is. And so I imagine he will take over chair of that committee. And I think, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think only 3 seats changed out. O'Rourke out of Texas, who was it, Kaufman out of Colorado, and Poliquin out of Maine, I think is still up in the air, that last one. So not too much of a change in the House Veterans Affairs Committee. Obviously, no change on the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, but it'll be interesting to see going forward. The HVAC is, I don't. It's got its reputation. It really depends on who's in charge, what that committee does or doesn't do. It doesn't matter which party. A lot of folks think that the Veterans Affairs Committees are just kind of, filler committees for campaign stunts. So it is what it is. I think the current chair, Phil Rose, done some pretty interesting work there. He's pushed a lot of legislation through, so that's good. How that legislation turns out is always a crapshoot, but in any event, we'll see how things play out in the next couple of years. I think change is always a little good, especially when it comes to Veterans Affairs issues. I think having the legislature pop in and get some fresh ideas and some new insight might be a good thing. So we'll see how things turn out. In any event, hey, yeah, we'll talk about that next time. I've got an idea I want to share with y'all, but we'll do it next time. Hey, the title of this video is what is the easiest VA disability to claim? And the reason I put that in there, sorry, it's a little bit of clickbait, because I found out the other day, I'm searching through, I've got these tools that allow me to search and see what veterans are searching for on Google. And actually, Jermaine, I'm not really entirely sure the answer to if we have a leader of Veterans Affairs. That's always up in the air. So I miss Bob, but that's my deal. But in any event, I look through these search results and I kind of see what keywords y'all are searching for, so I get an idea what topics are important to you. And one that has been popping up over the last 6 to 8 months has been this phrase, what is the easiest VA disability claim? And so I found that very interesting, and so I did the search myself, and it brings up a bunch of results. You guys can do it. Good morning, Mike. How you doing? You guys can do that on your own, but what I want to talk to you about is what I think is the easiest VA disability claim, and it's not going to be what you think. It's not going to be tinnitus. It's not going to be scars. The easiest VA disability claim to win is a claim that you prepare for, that you prove up, and that you do right the first time. Right? If you're going to do something, do it right, and do it right the first time. If you guys have questions, pop them up there, and I can break my stream of consciousness here and talk to you about any questions you might have. But what I teach folks on the Veterans Law Blog is, in terms of preparing for, proving up, and getting your VA claims right the first time, is 8 steps. And these 8 steps, when veterans follow them, have much better experiences and much quicker turnaround times in their VA claims, and in their appeals. They're often successful, and when they're not successful, they've done a better job proving it up for an attorney to take over and see what they can do at the board. So this is going to improve your VA claim, improve your VA appeal if you follow these 8 steps. And I'm going to run through them quick here. When we get this post up on the blog, obviously I'll link to all the posts that go through these steps in detail, but I'm just going to kind of hit the high notes here so you know what they are. The first one is be the solution. Stop being a problem, be part of the solution. And that basically means let's stop complaining about the VA. Let's recognize that we are in charge of our own VA claims and appeals more than we think, and we can take back the power in our VA claims and appeals. There's an ebook by that title up on the Veterans Law Blog. The second step is get your C-file. Leslie Nielsen used to have the 3 rules of golf, and it was keep your head down, keep your darn head down, keep your darn stupid head down, right? Those are the 3 rules of golf. The 3 rules of VA claims and appeals are get your C-file, get your darn C-file, get your darn stupid C-file. Listen, you don't know what the VA knows about you, and you don't know how to improve your claim unless you see that C-file. It's worth the effort. I've got a 3-hour training course on the Veterans Law Blog to teach you how to get it. Third step, learn the law. Learn the law of your claim. If you're claiming sleep apnea, you should know what the law of sleep apnea claims is. If you're claiming PTSD, you should have a basic understanding of what you need to prove in a PTSD claim, right? The fourth step is build the 4 pillars of a VA claim. What are the 4 pillars? Eligibility, service connection, impairment rating, and effective date. You're going to prove those 4 pillars with step 5, 5-star evidence, right? I'm not going to go into all the steps right here, but you want competent, credible evidence that's probative. So there's a book on there about the 5-star evidence rule, and there's also a video on there about building the 4 pillars and how to prove a service connection claim. I think it's a 5-hour training video. It's an insane amount of information, an insane amount of insight from over 11 years of practicing in this area of law that I can share with you all about how this process works. The 6th step is choose your battlefield, right? Choose your battlefield. You're gonna fight them on a claim. You're gonna fight them on appeal. Now we've got all these new battlefields with this appeals modernization. It used to be, you could either fight out at the DRO, you could fight out at the board, you could fight out at the court, you could set up your appeal to fight out and win your battle at one of those levels. Now we've got all sorts of different options. I have no idea how they're going to play out, but now you get to choose, 3 ways to appeal a VA ratings decision. The supplemental claim, higher level review, or BVA appeal. Once you appeal to the BVA, you can choose 3 lanes. Once you choose those 3 lanes, you can choose 7 different cars to drive. Once you choose the 7 different cars, it just gets kind of crazy. So we're going to see how this thing plays out, but you're going to have a lot more battlefields to choose from, which means we're basically going to start playing chess on a 3-dimensional board with the VA. So that's going to be a real hoot. Stay tuned as these regs get released in March. We're going to go into detail and learn a lot more about them. What about that RAMP program? I'll tell you what, the RAMP program is a gap filler between the old legacy appeals process and the modernized appeal process. So, I can't say whether RAMP is right for every claim. The VA is trying to get claims into the RAMP program. What I can say is that there's no guarantee. If you enter the RAMP program, there's no guarantee you'll ever get a board hearing. That's what I know at this time. That may turn out to be wrong a year from now, but we know very little about it. So what I'm telling our clients at our law firm is I'm saying wait till appeals modernization comes out to see. Other law firms are telling their clients different things. So it really depends on your risk, comfort level, and what you want to do. Anyway, back to the 8 steps. The 7th step is protecting your survivors and dependents, because we know that the VA's motto is delay, delay, delay until they die, right? Well, we also know that survivors and dependents in some circumstances can step into the shoes of the veteran and continue the claim, or have certain benefits available to them. And there's certain things that you as veterans can do while you're living to ensure that your survivors have an easier go of things should you pass away unexpectedly, or frankly, should you pass away expectedly. If you know you're going to pass away, there's some things you can do in your VA claim to set your survivors up for success, or better opportunities for success. The last thing is choose your rep wisely. So that's step 8. If you get in over your head, there's no shame in it. Listen, this process is hard. I did my own claim, filed it in 2007 when I first started doing this. You know when it finally got granted? March of this year, March of 2018. So 11 years. I'm an attorney. I know what I'm doing, I think, right? And it still took me 11 years, right? It's hard. There's no shame in asking for help. If you ask for help, choose your rep wisely. There's VSOs out there. There are top-notch VSOs. There are garbage VSOs, right? We all know that. We know there's a full spectrum. There's attorneys out there. There's good attorneys. There's bad attorneys. You're going to have to make your decisions wisely. You can get a free ebook on my website at veteranslawblog.org that's going to teach you how to choose a VA claims attorney. You follow those steps, I can guarantee that you're going to make a good, smart decision, because I'm going to teach you how to spot attorneys that don't know what they're talking about, that are in it for the money, and that really should have no business doing this. There's about 600 attorneys nationwide that practice this religiously, veterans law, that is. These 600 attorneys are out of a group of probably 16 to 18,000 accredited attorneys. So 16 to 18,000 attorneys are accredited, 600 regularly practice. So you've got to filter out the chaff from the wheat right there, right? You got to filter out over 17,000 bad apples and find the 600 good apples. And I'm going to teach you some steps how to do that, the questions to ask an attorney if you decide to hire one. And I'm not saying you have to in any event. So a couple of questions coming up here. So can I have the back pay check, Mike? Well, I think we've already spent that. My wife got her hands on it. So I've got to be careful what I say about that, because I've got to sleep in a bed with with my wife tonight, and if I say the wrong thing, I'm in deep trouble. So I've already said too much. But in any event, come on, guys, let's get some questions here. I got about 4 more minutes, and then I've got to shut down. I'm going to get an eye doctor, take a look at these eyes here and see what we got going on in any event. So, Adam and Luck out of, yes, I do like Adam, Luck, and Julie Glover are attorneys in Dallas, Texas. That question comes from Roberto Fuentes, and he asked if they're any good. Listen, I know them personally. I think Adam and Julie do a great job. They've been practicing there, I think, for 5 or 6 years. I actually used to spend a lot of time with them when I was there in Dallas. I'm no longer in Dallas, and I see them twice a year out of the NOVA conference. I think they do great work. You know, when we've got cases out of the Waco regional office, we often send them to them to take care of. I'm not saying that they're going to win your claim for them, but what I am saying is that they're certainly good advocates, and I think they do good work. So, can a VSO request the C-file? Absolutely, absolutely. Now, the VA likes to play games with this, and you'll find that out on the C-file video. They like to play games. If you're a veteran and you request your C-file, they're going to kind of stall a little bit. They're going to pretend it's a Privacy Act request instead of a FOIA, and they're going to delay and delay and delay. They're going to find their ways to delay. I teach you some ways around that in the video. But a VSO can also request it for you. There's some forms you can use. Frankly, a VSO that's housed in the same facility as the VA regional office is going to have a little easier time of it because they got a little bit more pull, but they're still going to give you the runaround. So let's see, how can someone that never deployed get a higher rating? The deployment has nothing to do with ratings. I'll tell you that right now. The rating is a function of the frequency, chronicity, and severity of your medical condition. And every medical condition has a list of criteria that determine the rating. And so there's a book, I've got one around here somewhere. Yeah, you guys are going to love this right here. All right, here's the book, right? There's actually way more than this in this book. This is the Federal Veterans Laws, Rules, and Regulations. This is the 2017-18. You can get this on the NVLSP website at nvlsp.org. That's the National Veterans Legal Services Program. It's got the CFR in it, and in there at Table 4, it lists every medical condition that you can service connect. Well, we're going to put a pause button because that's not entirely true. It's got almost every medical condition in there, and it lists the criteria that you need to prove to get a particular rating. So pull up Table 4, look at your medical condition. If you can't find your medical condition, look for one that has symptoms very close to it and argue that it should be rated by analogy. So why does my doctor tell me to go to the emergency room for everything? I have no idea. I have no idea. But that's a good question. I can only see these questions one at a time as they're scrolling up. Let's see what we got here. Darn, oh, that's a sleep apnea one, and I can't see the whole question there. So, wow, we got 106 people in here. That's a pretty good showing. I've got 100% unemployability now, but have other disabilities with no rating, and I was told not to go. Wow, I can't read the rest of the question. They're coming in too quick. Listen, I can address that one a little bit. I think I know where you're going with that. A lot of veterans get this 100% disability. They've got other conditions that are not service-connected, and they want to continue getting things service-connected, even though they're not going to get a higher disability rating. Well, there's a couple of scenarios where you can get higher than 100%, and those are areas of special monthly compensation, or SMC. Way too complicated to go into in the minute and a half that I've got left here. But look up special monthly compensation. If you've got 100% disability and a separate, unrelated 60% disability, you can get what's called SMC Subchapter S, which is an extra, I think it's $300 and something a month for having those two disabilities, 100% and then a separate 60%. There's others out there that if you need aid and attendance, all those sorts of things. If you've lost the use of an extremity, all those sorts of things are considered in special monthly compensation. But you also have to consider, and we talk about this in Step 7 about protecting survivors and dependents. Let's say you get service-connected, 50% for PTSD, you get extra scheduler TDIU that bumps you up to 100%, and then all of a sudden you're diagnosed with coronary artery disease that you think is related back to your service in Vietnam. The VSO says, oh, don't claim CAD because or coronary artery disease because they're just going to bump down your sleep apnea and retaliation. Well, you got to think which is more likely to be related to the cause of death, that coronary artery disease. You're going to want that service connected. Even if you get that claim going, if you pass away while it's going, your survivor can step into the shoes there. And if they reduce your sleep apnea or cut your TDIU, then you're going to want to appeal that because that retaliatory stuff does happen. Not as frequently as it used to, but it still does happen. There's ways to guard against it. There's a way to protect it. Really having that C-file and knowing your claim, knowing the law, and getting good evidence in is the best way to do it. Actually, tomorrow, if I do a pop-up video, I'm going to make a note because we are going to talk to you about a reduction claim appeal that's out there. I want to tell you all about it. But in any event, Listen, guys, I got to go to this eye doctor appointment. I've been waiting for it for 4 months, so I'm going to not miss it and get my bifocals here, or trifocals, or whatever focals I've got now. I'm too young for this nonsense. But y'all have a great day. I will pop this up on the blog. Thank you all for the questions. And if I got another few minutes today or tomorrow, I'm going to do a pop-up video. So stay tuned here on Facebook. Follow and like our page, and put us so that you see our posts first, and then you'll see these videos whenever they happen come up first. Y'all take care. Have a great day. Bye.